Good morning everyone. As told in the last session, we will study today mechanism of breathing and the transport of carbon dioxide and oxygen. But before we begin, let us do a very quick revision of what we studied in the last class. In the last class, we studied about human respiratory system. We saw the passage of air, how the air passes from air is taken in by nose. We have hair and mucus inside the nose which is filtering the air. From there it goes into the nasal chamber. From nasal chamber it passes to the chamber of pharynx. We have a structure in close association with pharynx which is known as larynx, and from pharynx the blood goes into trachea, which has a rings of cartilage which prevents the trachea from collapsing, which means there is always some amount of air present in the trachea. Trachea now divides into two parts, and that goes into each lung, and that is known as bronchus. Bronchus further forms fine branches which is known as bronchioles, and bronchioles end up in round balloon-like structure which is known as alveoli, and this is the place where exchange of gases takes place. For exchange of gases to take place, we have a very thin membrane present at the alveoli. Alveoli is highly coiled to increase the surface area, and alveoli is richly supplied with blood vessels because exchange of gases has to take place between alveoli and the blood. This is what we studied yesterday. Today we are going to study the mechanism of breathing. Breathing is simply taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. This is what is breathing. So taking in of oxygen is one part, and that is known as inhalation or inspiration. And giving out of carbon dioxide is known as exhalation or expiration. So we have giving out of carbon dioxide called as exhalation or expiration. Now, how does air get inside our body? That is, how do we take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide is what we study in mechanism of breathing. If you remember yesterday, I had told you that lung is situated in a thoracic cavity. I am drawing only one side of the cavity. Lung is situated in a thoracic cavity, and it is thoracic cavity is separated from the other part of the body which is known as abdominal cavity with the help of a diaphragm which is dome shaped. Diaphragm is dome shaped in this shape. So and the entire thoracic cavity is present inside the rib cage. Rib cage have muscles in between two ribs which is known as intercostal muscle. And we have another muscle which connects the diaphragm to the ribs. So there we have two different types of muscles present in the rib cage and between the diaphragm. These two muscles help in contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm, which will increase the volume or either increase the volume or decrease the volume. Let us see what happens when these muscles contract. What will happen? Diaphragm becomes flattened. So if diaphragm is flattened, the volume of the lung will increase, and when these muscles contract, what happens? Lungs is pulled up and out. So when these muscles contract, these are known as radial muscles. When radial muscles contract, diaphragm becomes flat, because of which volume of lung increases, and when these muscles contract, lung is pulled up and out, because of which again the volume of lung increases. So what happens because of contraction of these muscles is volume of lung increases. If you remember, volume is inversely proportional to pressure. So if volume increases, pressure will decrease. So pressure inside the lung decreases. So what will happen because of this? Volume of lung is increasing and pressure inside the lung is decreasing. If volume of lung increases, the pressure of lung will decrease. Now the pressure of the lung is less compared to the pressure outside in the atmosphere, and hence air will come inside the lungs. So atmospheric pressure is more compared to pressure inside the lungs, and because of which what will happen, the air will get inside the lungs. So what is happening? The muscles contract. There are two different muscles which are used here, that is and these muscles, what will they do? They will change the shape of the diaphragm. Diaphragm will become flat, and the rib cage will be pulled outward and upwards, because of which the volume of the lung will increase. When volume increases, pressure decreases. This pressure is less compared to the atmospheric pressure, so air from atmosphere will get into the lungs. This is what happens in inhalation. Now in exhalation, what will happen? The muscles will relax. If muscles will relax, what is going to happen? The diaphragm will regain its shape. It will again become dome shaped, and the rib cage will be pulled inwards and downwards, and because of which the volume of lung will decrease. If volume of lung decreases, pressure of lung will increase. So this is more than atmospheric pressure, hence air will move out of the lungs. So what happened? When muscles relaxed, diaphragm regained its shapes. And rib cage was pulled inward and downward, and because of these two activities, the volume of lung decreased, was lowered down, pressure of lung was increased, and that became more than the atmospheric pressure. So air from lungs went into the atmosphere. So this is what happens in exhalation. This is the mechanism of breathing. Breathing is taking place mainly because of the muscles present in between the ribs and the muscles present between the diaphragm and the rib cage. So these two muscles are helping in movement of air into the lungs and out of the lungs. Transport of oxygen. How is oxygen transported in our body? Major transport of oxygen is in the form of when it combines with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a pigment found in blood. This contains iron molecules, and oxygen can combine with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. One molecule of hemoglobin, one hemoglobin can carry 4 molecules of oxygen, and 97 to 99% of oxygen is transported when it combines with hemoglobin. So this is the importance of hemoglobin. All the oxygen is taken to different parts of the body with the help of hemoglobin. What about the remaining 1 to 3%? Remaining 1 to 3% of oxygen is transported dissolved in plasma. So there are 2 ways by which oxygen can be transported to different parts of the body. One is with the help of hemoglobin, which is a respiratory pigment found in the blood. This respiratory pigment has iron molecule at its in its molecular structure, and this is capable of carrying oxygen molecules. So one hemoglobin can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. When oxygen combines with hemoglobin, it forms oxyhemoglobin, and 97 to 99% of oxygen is carried along with hemoglobin. 1 to 3% of oxygen is dissolved in plasma, and then it is transported to different parts of the body. Next is transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is transported in the form of H2CO3. This is carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is formed by combination of carbon dioxide with water in presence of an enzyme. Some amount of it is carried when it combines with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide forms carbaminoglobin. Why is hemoglobin capable of carrying oxygen also, carbon dioxide also? Because hemoglobin is a compound which is when it combines with something, it is a very short-lived combination. So it releases oxygen, it releases carbon dioxide, wherever it has to take it, it goes there, releases the oxygen, and it again becomes a free molecule. So it is capable of carrying things from one place to another. 23% of carbon dioxide is carried when it combines with hemoglobin and forms carbaminoglobin. And the major part is it is dissolved in plasma. 70% of it is dissolved in plasma. So this is how carbon dioxide is being transported in our body. So this is all about mechanism of breathing and transport of carbon dioxide and oxygen in our body. Here we have to remember one concept. Sometimes what happens, if there is incomplete combustion, we inhale carbon monoxide along with carbon dioxide, which is said to be a deadly gas, because as hemoglobin is always present for combination with different substances in our body, hemoglobin can also combine with CO, and this forms carboxyhemoglobin. But here what happened, when we were studying oxygen and carbon dioxide, I said you it takes oxygen to one place, releases the oxygen, and hemoglobin becomes free. But in this case, when hemoglobin combines with carbon monoxide and a compound is formed, this is a chemical change. It will not release hemoglobin, it will remain in this form only. So slowly, gradually, the percentage of hemoglobin goes on decreasing, and the person may ultimately die because of it. That is why it is advised not to sleep with something burning in your room where the room is completely closed. No fresh air is coming in. So this This is, and another thing is that if hemoglobin is present, oxygen is present, carbon dioxide is present, and carbon monoxide is present. Carbon monoxide has more affinity with hemoglobin, so it will combine with hemoglobin, and oxygen and carbon dioxide will not be able to combine. So this is another reason why carbon monoxide should not enter our body, because it combines with hemoglobin much better than the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, and it forms a fixed compound. It does not break, it does not release the hemoglobin once a compound is formed, because of which the percentage of hemoglobin goes on decreasing, and sometimes a person may even die if he does not get proper oxygen at proper time. So this was all for today. Hope you enjoyed this learning today. Do subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click on the bell icon, and if you liked it, do share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.